This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So, you're about to watch 3 clips with exactly the same playing. One of these clips is the Chase Bliss 1978, like an £850 reverb pedal. I think the most expensive reverb pedal that I can find on the market. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else. To get beyond this sort of price range, you'd be looking at something like an actual piece of hardware, like a Bricasti or a Lexicon or an Eventide or something. Anyway, we've got that. The other side of the things, we've got this Strymon Cloudburst, which is one of the algorithms from the Big Sky. I think Strymon have a super good reputation in this realm for having certain sort of sound and stuff like that. And then the other one is just from an HX Stomp Helix native using the dynamic plate. So feel free to leave in the comments which you think is which. We've got device A, device B, device C. I'm not going to leave you hanging for another video to tell you the actual answer to this. I'll just tell you after these clips, I guess. So device A was the most expensive, device B was the Cloudburst, and device C was actually the Helix Native. Now, I'm asking this sort of question because I think the logic goes something like, why would someone who does everything in a multi-effect be able to come up with a reverb that was as good or competes with these? And, you know, so people, I think, naturally assume that the stuff in the Helix is going to sound potentially worse or whatever. I was actually surprised by how much I liked the Helix compared to both of these in this clip. So one of the things that I'm first of all looking for is kind of complexity in the sound. So I'm looking for, like, not just, how would I say it, like there's like a flat kind of reverb sound, or there's like a reverb sound which has loads of space, but as well there's got like complexity in the bass and in the higher register. What I love about the Helix is like there's this singing thing on top of it, as well as the tails being really musical. We can just compare the tails if you like as well. This one has a super long tail potentially, and the Helix can go very, very long as well. There's like an infinite thing which goes a couple of minutes. But if you listen to the tails, I think that's where you can really tell the difference between reverb algorithms, is what is going on in that tail. So there are, of course, lots of other sounds available and lots of other reverb algorithms. And I guess another point to make would be that if you're hearing the reverb this high in the mix, probably you're playing with too much reverb for most applications anyway. But what this showed me was that I felt like the Helix dynamic plate stands up with what I think are probably regarded as some of the highest quality things on the market. The Cloud Reverb of Strymon didn't go as long as I remembered, and to me it seems like it's very much sort of like a narrower kind of bandwidth of tone. Potentially this is why people find that it sits in a mix really well or works quite unfussily, whereas I was able to get quite boomy kind of sounds out of the Chase Bliss. It took a little bit longer to get tones out of this. What I really like about the Helix stuff is that the dynamic plate, for instance, I can use the damping in the high damping, is it called? So you can open that up. So by default it's at about 3.7 kilohertz. If you open that up, you get more of that kind of metallic sound into the reverb tank, sort of reminiscent of an Eventide black hole. That's the stuff where you then get a longer tail, which I think gives you this really kind of spacey sound. Of course, there are way more natural kind of reverb sounds that you might be concerned about, but if you're interested in this one sort of specific ambient type of tone, I think the Helix does it as well as any of these, and possibly even slightly better, which was surprising to me. I was thinking I might have to do a little bit of work with the Helix one to make it sound like it stacks up with these very well, but I thought, to be honest with you, that it did. Line 6 obviously don't pay me to make these videos. It'd be nice if they would though, wouldn't it? But yeah, anyway, I thought that for me, I was just really enjoying that reverb, and to me it shows me that I don't necessarily have to look outside of the box. I can do these little A-B kind of comparisons just to see, you know, am I being crazy? And another thing that flips this on its head for me is that I'm no longer actually trying to get the sounds of these with the Helix algorithm, which was made by a guy called Norm, who used to work for Digitech and Lexicon. So this guy does know his reverb, and it makes sense that if you had an expert on board who has worked for some of these really awesome companies, you know, that inspired this, that he would be able to put something together that sounds really good. I think with all of this stuff, although they are units, what's actually important is the algorithm behind it, and those come down to people. So if Line 6 have good people working there, you know, these Strymon algorithms were made quite a while ago. There's no reason that someone at Line 6 who has experience working with Lexicon and Digitech wouldn't be able to come up with something that competes, in my opinion. With the Chase Bliss pedal, I noticed that when you started to introduce some of these more staccato notes, that you start then to get this kind of, you can start to hear the reverb sort of breaking apart. That's the only negative that I kind of had for it. But I like the musicality of the tail there as well. And then comparatively, the Helix. Back to the Chase. Comparatively, it just seems to be a bit more knocky and a bit less musical. I wasn't necessarily expecting to find that I preferred the Helix to both the Strymon Cloudburst and the 1978 in this particular kind of case. Saved me a bunch of money. I think for me, with the dynamic hall, dynamic plate, and basically those new algorithms, the dynamic series came from this chap Norm. I think those to me sound as good as anything across the modeling world or pedal world that I've heard. So for me, it's definitely changed how I look on the Helix Reverbs. At launch, it was just the legacy reverbs. Then they brought out like the Glitz and some of those other newer ones. And now with the more recent updates, I think they really do stack up really well. And you can be kind of assured that you can stay in the box for reverb tones if you don't want to go out there and buy like a specialist unit. So this is like 279 quid. I think the Helix Reverb sounds as good or better than that. And this is 850, and again I think you can get similar sorts of tones and similar sort of performance within the Helix to this. The one thing that you can't do though is the little synth thing, which I'll play you out with the Cloudburst. I hope that is semi-interesting to you. I haven't had to do really any hard work to get any of these tones. It was just a case of just dialing in something that I like the sound of it. It's not like I spent longer on the Helix than any of these. I think the one that took me longest to figure out was the Chase Bliss. This doesn't have much kind of in the way of tweakability anyway, so that didn't take long either. And then the Helix was just kind of a case of chucking the decay up nice and long and then opening up the high damping. So yeah, let me know your thoughts.